So it's Saturday morning, and the market's going to open here in a few hours, a couple days. So many hours for the open, and I guess the weekend's the only time you can look at the market without the frantic, like if you are a scalper and you're a swing trader, when you see a tick chart moving, my first feeling is, gosh, can I get in on something here? And of course, my first obstacle is always going to be the spread, and you can see it on the tick chart. And you can't see it here right now, but this broker closed at a spread of 10 pips on the dollar CAD. So if I was going to trade the dollar CAD with a, just kind of buying every 35 pips, so every 35 pips down, I'll place buy limits next week. I don't know if they're going to take it down there, and I don't really care if they take it down there or not. So the last video I did was about somebody said, well, you really, I know you don't like back testing, but you back test. Okay, well, right now I'm looking at 3 months of, just to give you a gauge of how dynamic these markets are. This is 200 pips, 300, 400, 500 pips. Can you find a trade in there? What is the trend of this market? Okay, we were in an uptrend here on closing prices exactly till here. Did people sell there and make a ton of money at that breakout? Oh yeah. Did people sell and it, of course this trend line's the wrong spot. So the first flaw here. So when you, if you've been in the medical field, anybody out there that's a doctor, when a patient comes in, what is the first thing you do? You do not look at their wicks, you look at their body. So you look at their skeleton to see if they've broken any bones, because the only thing holding this market together is where the market ends up at the end of the day. After 24 hours of drama, where do we end up? And if you're a swing trader that can wait 10 days to get paid, now the last video I did was, being a scalper, if this is a 5-minute chart, say I've got a buy limit here. I'm back testing right now for all the back testers. If I put a buy limit here based on the rule that if I see a flag or a triangle or a wedge or a doji, I know this is a good price and it's just above the round. So if I put a buy limit here, and then I put a buy limit right here because I know this is where all the stops are, because the trend traders, they're like, we're in an uptrend. Their moving averages are all lagging out here. Kablamo. Hello. Now this is what people find a hard time believing, that all you've got to do, and of course you could just be trading on 50 pip grid. So if you drop the 50 pip grid, I don't know why people aren't just all over this. You lay in one case like this. How much are you risking? Master stop. You do not fill. Thank God there's people out there asking me questions on these videos, because now that I explain it, the only reason I'm doing the video is a selfish reason. Everybody should do a video, because there's two people inside of everybody, and you need to explain it to yourself in a way. So when you show it to somebody else, you're only reconfirming that yes, this works. Why in the fuck? This is the only reason I'm pissed off when I watch these people with the one trick ponies. Dude, you don't know where, like, oh, I know where the market's going. Okay, if it doesn't go to, okay, so where are the bears targets? Channel trading on close, daily chart. This is the high of the chart, right? Middle of the chart, amazingly. Now, this is a whole nother issue, that just because we landed here at this point in time on this chart, at this ATR, If I hit the zoom out key one notch right now, it's a whole different basket. Now, when you talk about what does that robot do over 5 years, holy shit. You'd have to have a robot designed for each level of range. Now I ask you, if this was a 15-minute chart, if this was a 1-minute chart, and these are 10 pip handles, and you lay, I guess it's just too silly. This is why people, and this, all the money I made trading without stops, and the account is the stop. I actually made a comment to this guy in the room, and I said, well, the account's your stop. Well, duh. If you got $200 in the account, okay, listen, you got $1,000? Anybody? Why are you trading standard lots? Open 5 brokers, put $200 in each broker, lay grids. Walk away. Even the ass clown. Now imagine a guy. He doesn't know shit about the markets, but he knows that he wants to sell high and he buys low. What does he do? Now, of course, if you told somebody to do this, he'd be like, oh, okay. How wouldn't this have made money? You tell him, place a 1K sell every 100 pips. He's in a 4K. He's in a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's in a 10K. He's got enough money to buy a 20K. His stop's up here. Has it ever occurred to anybody that some poor ass clown that has been told at this point here, well, I've heard, since we're so down in the bottom here, somebody once told me, buy low, sell high. So what he does, he puts 1Ks in. Now he's going to be in like way more K than the guy that sold this array. And he's got the same master stop. He's in 30K on this puppy. Now, he hasn't looked at this account. And you tell him, just lay them out there for the next 3 years and just let it happen, dude. Just don't even think about it. How much are you risking? $200, right? Okay, 200. Can I blow this up? If I sell 1Ks, I'm down 10, 20. So I'm about, put $500 in there. So he puts 500 in. His master stop is 500 pips. He's risking 500 real dollars. His broker's like, you got to stop it. Yeah, he's got to stop at $1.50. In the market, actually, now there actually is power on here. If I zoom out one more, or no, there's, I'm sorry, there's a dollar CAD. Yeah, this thing goes below. Shit. Sorry. Well, I'm just looking at this time frame because we actually go lower. Believe it or not. It's hard to believe looking at this chart. I don't want, if I get out of this screen, it's going to delete everything I wrote. But what kind of cracked me up was, I make jokes about this guy. I knew that this guy drank tequila like you can't believe. And I'm sorry, this isn't a year. This is a month. So, but this could be a year or two. You could be selling every 1,000. Imagine you, but my point is that you don't need to know where the market's going, that you know that you've been told buy low, sell high. Just that right there alone is enough to trade. Now, I get that people have drilled down so fine on this stuff that this is the daily chart, and I'm looking back 10 months. That's why I'm missing that big low I was talking about. But this market is completely out of control, right? Now, for the next, so you're not telling this guy, actually, you're going to make money faster than I thought here. So you're going to be like, okay, tell this ass clown, listen, just start selling up here. And now his stop, he's taking heat on this, right? He can't, but if you tell him sell high, as it comes down, he keeps selling high up here too, right? As it comes back up. Maybe he sells this whole thing. They never hit a stop. Of course, he's going to probably be risking 600. Then as it's coming back, does he have, and this is a completely symmetrical, this is month here. Then you come in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months swing. 3 months, perfect Gartley, right? Perfect. Who the fuck is going to sit in this trade and keep getting pounded every day or every 15 minutes? The guy that can do that is a guy, he's actually above water if he dumps the whole thing when they come down and trap the next phase of people. But this could be a 5-minute chart is my point. This could be any time frame, any bat channel. The thing is, psychologically, who's putting in these buy limits at the 100 handles here to capture this plunge and just willing to range trade this? Now, this idea of building a robot to some kind of... let me zoom out. So now that's the daily. You zoom out here. In the world of everything that you know is sane, what the... People are like... I saw... Akil Stokes say the New Zealand dollar is going to go through some amazing move. Listen, that might happen. Look where you're at in the world of this thing. Are you kidding me? So you're holding this trend line on close. Look at this thing. Are you kidding me? So what? Yeah, what's going on here? What in the hell? And then look at this rate of change here. Man, I'm telling you. If you were buying that on pullbacks, you blow your brains out. You were going to say, this isn't an uptrend. I guess this is your bail point for most people. There's a site out there called the Hard Right Edge. I'm going to put it in the, anybody that's into patterns, I'll put it in the link here. It's called the Hard Right Edge, but he's doing it on the highs and lows. But he does the same thing. He's like, you know what? What do we got here, people? This is parabolic. Look at that. Really? And some guy was teasing me about selling into this. Had you got in based on a channel off of any one of these lines, so take your last known trend line that makes sense and copy this, hold down the control key, grab that trend line, drag it over off this top, because you know this top. It actually blew through the channel here. So here's where they really trapped a lot of people, because if you go back to the if you go back into the weekly, you'll notice that if I just mark off this one horizontal, here is the trap on the weekly. There's this one and there's this one. This is the two seriously big deals where there's a ton of sell limits to just get in, and the last known bottom goes all the way back to that notch right there, and they tagged that. So this baby bottom here, now the only time that these bottoms matter is when we're going through uncharted water. So as you cut through this big hole, yeah, this bottom matters. That bottom matters now. They just cleaned that out. They just went smashing through that. That does not matter. It just happened to bounce off of here, but I would give it a bigger range. So I would say this matters now, right? And this did matter because we had the same battle here. The same amount of battle happened here. So the scalper's paradise. This is the weekly. Now, imagine a robot that all it did was churn this shit. It doesn't even, granted, this is a downtrend, but what if you got in on this pullback or this pull up into previous and you didn't get the sizing right on that? You're fucked in the ass. Okay, sorry. You bent over without lubricant. There are so many places to get killed and make money in this market. And so where are you at now in the landscape? God in heaven, this market, never a dull moment. Dollar CAD is ruthless, but I would say it's a real limit orders dream because this thing has a vicious move. Big wicks on this. So people say these currencies have personality. I'd say, a lot of wicks. But where are we at now? So how does this matter? If we're living here on the chart, you could look at back I just back tested the idea that if you keep selling into something, eventually it'll turn around. So the question is, how big to size into this martingale trading? This is why martingale people will kill it right now. Maybe you have a martingale account that you run grids on, and maybe you want to run that like that's all that does, but you've already committed to losing $300. You have $300 to this one account. Now don't commingle that. Okay, so if you're married to a girl that is stable, I don't know any guy on the planet. I don't know where these people are coming from. Maybe they're priests that molest children, but how are they able not to look at another girl and go, wow? Now, to me, that's scalping. So if I'm married to a grid system, because I know it's a high probability swing trade, and I'm like, you know what? This is the people call it the kill zone, the vault, the support. I'm just going to buy for the next I'm going to buy a 3K here on, and people say, well, why would you buy a 3K? That's that's not a very big trade. Well, for some people, right? Then put an order every 25 pips and make it so that you have to backward engineer this. Okay, so since nobody talks about money, I'm gonna do something really vulgar. I'm gonna talk about money. So you got $20. You want to risk $20. So you get $20, and you're gonna buy every 50 pips. So what is that? Is that enough money? I don't know. Your stop is gonna be insanely bad, but actually ratio-wise, maybe not. So we'll put a 200 pip stop. So the last order here, we're gonna fill a 300 pip zone. So it's gonna fill like this, 300, and your stop is gonna be at 100 pips on the last thing. So you're gonna buy 300 pip slam, and here's your master stop. Now you could have it more complex, and this is where the diversification that maybe you have a 3K here with a master stop, and then your exits are going to be, you're looking to make, so the one that bought the bottom here, he's going to scalp to here. Now mind you, you drop the you hand place these, right? You just hand place them here. So you're putting them in right now. And the ones that you placed here, you only filled this one, and look at, if they all had the same stop, you could do that, right? But it's just easier the reason why I'm doing a hard stop, because I'm trying to show that scaling in, if you normally trade a 10K, why aren't you buying 8K plunges with a master stop that would have been the same? Okay, the very first order is going to get killed. You're going to lose $3 on this one. You'll lose 2, and you're going to lose 1. Or you're going to lose $2 here. You're going to lose $3, $4, right? Or $40, fill in the blank, right? And so this is why you want to have a cent account if you don't want to So you buy $100 on every 10 pips. The whole idea, okay, I know people want to trade a standard lot and they think that there's some big shot, but you would make more money on a micro account than a mini account because you can withstand. You have a higher resolution of entry. The idea of getting, the whole reason that I get so upset about watching people look for these dream patterns is that these bounces are kind of just, you know, if you, like the market's screaming down, right? And you're throwing out buy limit grids in front of the market like this. I'm buying every 100 pips for the next, if this is a 1 hour chart, I'm buying every 10 pips. And I got master stop down there. Now, you have to make it so psychologically as it's plunging, you're not going, oh shit, I should have waited. No, you're actually, now you're throwing in grids like that you're buying even deeper, but maybe you think you're in too heavy here. If you're in too heavy here and you don't want to get out because you know this is coming, you know this idea that you're going to wait for confirmation. No, when this thing's screaming up like a, look at this rate of change. Are you serious? This parabolic move, I didn't draw the last trend line on there. So if you were really drilled into this, you're like, oh my God, real. And then there's a never a lower day. Are you kidding me? This is parabolic as it gets. So what is the first top bottom that becomes a top for you to get on board is here at the 100. If you believe that putting sell limits here, hand placed, so this is organic trading. This is not an EA that has a static view or is even looking for, I don't know how you write an EA that says look for a 200 pip pullback, look for a top becoming a bottom, put a limit here. It's not going to happen. Patient comes in the hospital with a broken bone, you fix that bone. You don't treat their whole body in a blanket order, but not to say that you can't martingale trade. People are discounting. I'm only speaking from experience of literally buying at the market as it drops without a stop. With $300 in my account, I got $2,000 in 2 weeks. Could I have blown the account up? Yes, but I'm only risking $300. What the fuck psychologically is the difference? You put in a $300 stop on a standard lot here and sell. They stop you out. You got in too early. Who wants to live with the pressure? Okay, I'm going to start buying as it crushes into here. This is almost a 200 pip crush in. Look where the money was made. You got in here where you're not supposed to. Oh, you're buying new lows? Oh, you're buying. Oh, you're getting killed, dude. Really? I'm a swing trader. I'm high resolution entry. Yeah, you keep. I'm presupposing you can handle 2 days of torture. Okay, you got thumb screws, you got battery cables on your nipples. Here's the double buy becomes a stupid top, right? Could you have waited for that perfect trend line setup? Like that is the best setup on the whole chart, right? Here's another, but this doesn't quite, they blow through. This bottom doesn't become a top. So there is no hard rule. Beautifully though, the momentum, you get a top, bottom, and momentum here perfectly. But notice even the go-to bottoms become tops. Like, okay, none of this stuff works all the time. This is why you have to trade a ton of fucking orders. You're just never going to survive it, man. Sell limits go here. Yeah, they blow through that, but it's okay. You've got sell limits to start here where you know all the stop. Once they trigger that. So as we build this cavity, the question is, now here's where I would not put buy stops on the daily chart because they're going to trap you and punish you. But if this was a 1 hour chart, oh yeah, I'm stacking up. This is a 10 pip grid. Oh yeah, I'm sitting there going, yeah, come on. And I'm buying on here. If this was 1 day, this isn't 1 day, this is 1 month. But if this was And notice that the end of the day is just like the end of the month. Look how quiet at the end of the month. And somebody settled their books, right? So we're the Asian session. The cool thing about MetaTrader is you can see here the session close of the month. Look how quiet this. Look at this breakout trade. Holy God, man! It just did you have to know where it was going? Oh Jesus! Even if buy stops never got filled, okay, you have to be willing to take that risk. There is no perfect. Even in a one direction trading, they're going to trap you. If your buy stops were filling up here, and this is a 5-minute chart, and they trapped you, and you didn't have something come in, if you didn't cash out of something, you didn't have that built in, those targets, or you couldn't see that we were going to whip up. Now, this was a classic. For anybody that has a day job, this is stupid easy. Okay, you just lay grids on in every currency, walk away. Close the tablet though. I recommend if you feel the need to scalp, open a different account and scalp. You don't want to commingle this. You don't want your wife to know about your girlfriend. Okay, you're gonna have multiple maybe you're gonna handle one girlfriend on the side, so you're scalping on one account, but you're grid trading or you're having pending precise orders that, you know what, in 3 months I'll be up. Forget 20%. Fuck that shit. You'll be up 1,000%, right? Because you're running, say, okay, you're running 10 currency pairs on a grid system, precise order placement. Is speaking to my buddy over there in Germany who's wants to build a robot, but there's no doubt that robots work. But who's the goofball that just placed Gumster orders 50 pips apart in a grid to capture a swing? And you're like, damn, I just made like 20. It's totally against. Anybody with half a brain wouldn't do it because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense when you look and backtest it visually. And I'm visually backtesting the strategy. That when they take, there's a stop down here, right? Everybody knows this is the top that became the triple bottom and the big launching pad for this big move. Everybody knows that. And the trend traders are buying on pullbacks. You can watch all these. You can draw. You probably can see a million Gartleys in here if you're a Gartley trader. Like, in other words, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But and here's another support that was supposed to hold, but this became where you had the double top, and you didn't quite get filled if you had your limit sitting at the perfect. This is why you need more than just one order, because you got a canvas. If you take this and hold down the control key and make an envelope here, and you're going to go for the internal tops of this. You see, if you're envelope trading that, you're only going to take the trades that come in that window there. And the nice thing about trend lines is they're hard. So this has already given us an example of what this market's capable of in velocity, in that amount of velocity. Now, if you hold down the control key, grab onto that node and drag that all the way back to here. We have done that before. We have gone down at that rate of change before. And this is the channel that now I am on the, I'm looking back about 2 years. Now, this move alone, how much money? Look at this one. Look at the ability for this pair to go absolutely ballistic. Now, I don't know what's going on here in the long term. I think everybody knows this bottom exists. There's no secrets here. The one thing that you know for certain, and look at the expansion of volatility. Like I said, they kill somebody. And there's probably, if you did a logarithmic scale, the this ATR here, if you built a system based on that ATR, and then if this was a 1 hour chart, say you built a robot, he's not going to be able to cash in on the little, so here's where your half-hour breakout bot actually made money. But only if his take profits were like, yeah, man, this is 100 pips. Well, this would be 10 pips, say, if this was a 1-hour chart. Here's another micro aggression pullback here. Look at this one. Now, as you drag this over like a miter box, the channel is your box, and then here's how many degrees you want to slice the pie. Look at this smash down. Perfectly lines up with trendline break, and then you've got the horizontal top bottom. So you can either start with horizontal world or you can start with the momentum world. But here's your top, became a bottom. It hasn't touched this long-term trend line. So now we're going sideways. And if the British pound should go through the floor, what do you think is going to happen to, and of course you can, if you want to get complex, you would look at all like the British pound, and so the British pound's trading sideways right now, and if it goes through the floor, maybe this thing could crush up big. And this could just go to the moon. It's still got this vault to fill. And wow. But everybody's going to be getting out. The first profit centers are going to be, well, this baby bottom, but that's just on the 100. Of course people are getting out there, but you could be selling there for the, so the question is, are you going to sell for the ricochets off of all this to the backside? Is your next order sell limits up here? Well, of course, duh. You're putting sell limits up here and you don't give a fuck every 50 pips. And you've got, I don't give a fuck, buy limits down here. No offense to people that give a fuck. And so this is what it looks like going into next week. If you have a just, well, whatever, and you've got a ratio to risk 25 to make 50s. Each of these are linear. They're all sitting up here, and maybe you could put them in a logarithmic array. There's actually, or you can hand place them. So I always hand place them first. And if you're lazy, which that's the whole point of an EA, you've got a sell limit here because it's double bottom. There's a scalp center up here. But these are the trade centers. It's like the market goes into a, in this 1 month, the market lives in this cubicle of trading where there is no trend. There really is no, I mean, this is like a 70, if you court and frame this, you're stuck with MetaTrader's framing here if you just use your zoom key, but if you zoom out to here, the framing of this to this, so this is a 4-month sell-off. This is coming up on 6 months of sideways. A lot of sideways, but yeah, this thing, wow, I think they are going to go up. But so you'd be buying a pullbacks. So maybe you go to the 4-hour. Now, even for the person that has a day job, there's just more orders to place here by hand, but these are certainly worth it. Here you could place buy stops if you realize that they're really market orders on here. In other words, imagine you placed a when the market's plunging down here on the 1 hour, and you just place a buy stop here. You're going to get the same price you would have got had you nailed it at the market. So psychologically, it's disturbing for people because they're like, well, gee, I missed my entry and whatever. Well, but in other words, in hindsight, they would look back there and go, you know what, if I would have just placed my order here on this closing price after it went up, and so when it goes up, you would have your sell stops in, say, right? Because it goes up, you would kind of run sell stops on up moves. But you know they're going to probably retest. And look at this, the precision of hand placement. You've got an order on this here. So you've got two reasons logically that make sense to place orders. Here's another top. So the rule is every top and bottom gets, every peak and valley gets an order on the 4 hour. Now, on the daily, it looks like this. And there's another problem. If you go to the daily, you scare the shit out of yourself because you would be like, I'm going to buy, like, or you'd be bored as fuck because you're like, well, really? I don't think it's going to get down there. If you're really aggressive, you're buying even this double bottom here, this flag. So a lot of people did buy, assuming, which you have to assume, this bottom becomes this top on the 4 hour, that buyers should come in at this last triangle flag, and this is why you can't trade one position. You need to delegate. You can't, this thing, I'm risking point. Now, how many times have you heard this? I'm risking 0.2% of my account. Okay, if your account's super big, maybe. How much money you got? But, come on. If you are going to put that on one ticket, you're even nuts, I think, at that number. Because if you've got if a broker allows you to place 10 orders, then you're risking 0.01, right? Per, right? It doesn't make sense that, but the problem is a lot of people don't know how deep the market really is. I didn't know until I was trying to trade the euro to the yen. I think I still don't know. Especially when the spread on a new broker, when the spread's wide, I'm like, damn, because I'm a pattern trader. I mean, I'm trading structure, but I can't. Are you serious? Like, I'm like, they stopped me out of that? Damn, I was at this one time, I opened this account, and I'm like, wow, geez. But this is before, this is when the servers weren't good, and they weren't trying to. People were saying, oh, they're scamming you. No. I had a broker that would disconnect for an hour and I would arbitrage against them. That was back in the day, right? You can still arbitrage against another broker. If you want to smoke some crack, you can arbitrage on a tick chart and just strap yourself in. My buddy used to say, strap yourself into the scalping chair and you have foot switches. Okay, you get hot. They've got foot switches now out of China, like $30, right? Hotkey assigned, buy. Hold down the buy stop key with your foot, right? And you have a hotkey keyboard. I'm just saying, if you want a really high frequency scalp, right? And you've got, say, 3 screens, and you've got a demo account from an ENC broker, like Dusky or whatever, they can't pronounce the fucking Dusky. And you're running this, and then you've got, so you got like the feed right off of whatever, the most liquid thing. Then you've got your broker that you're trading on, and you can see the market coming. And then you got maybe another broker, right? You got 3 tick charts running. 2 is probably enough. But and once you figure out which broker has the worst server connection, so you're actually looking for a bad connection. Okay, you're looking for, okay, no offense to the brokers out there that have a slow connection. I mean, it happens, right? Slow connection. But when there's a problem, they're putting in new lines or something, and that's you're making money from the store that burned down the street. That's another approach, right? But it really depends on what kind of person you are. So on the daily chart here, though, dollar CAD, obviously we want to sell high. So we just have to throw orders up there. This is hard for people to do. I can't. Every time I do it, I don't like to sell, I love to buy, but every time I do it, I go, does that really work? You know, like, yeah, only because if you really are lazy, you don't know, like, I get it if you know where the market's going, and you could drill down on the 4 hour here and scrunch it out, and you could have a reason for your orders. That's the whole reason why people use that Gartley. They need a reason to trade. But if you love trading and you're like, okay, well, go 4 hours, scrunch it down, and if you had to sell up into this, you got to look way back for any type of pivots, right? You may not be able to fit it on the screen. Apparently I can't. So I'd have to go to the, but we could be, of course, they're going to play trap and pullback here. So the scalpers right now are winning on the, you can see the scalp trade that's in force right now. the sell limits, if you got in, I don't know what the spread here was on close, but if you got in on this trap pullback, you're like, ooh. So this could be the breakout pullback and we're off to the races, but we could also come down into this thing here. So you have to gauge how much money you want to risk, but this is, nobody wants to hear this, but and here's a top. So here's the reason to put a buy limit. Here's the reason to put a buy limit. And you're just going to lay them all in there. And then if they don't fill, now as time's marching along, you could put in I would suggest, I'm just saying that the buy limits that are 50 pips apart, maybe they last 8 hours or 12 hours. And maybe they last all day. But I go for 12 hours on that. Now the market moves down, lay the same grid in. The same, you don't have to rewrite the script now, because if the markets move down, you're going to drop another 8 or 12 hour script. Market comes down again, you get another, right? But in these are decaying. The ones that are, so if it's really going to plunge, in a perfect world, this one's disappearing, so only this one fills. So you have it also is dependent on you or your EA. You can program an EA. You can get a mouse recorder for free, and every hour you can tell this mouse to every hour go out and launch a grid. So you want to put that on a tablet, get a $50 Windows tablet, and record your drop of a script or your double click of a grid. So when you go to sleep, this is the EA workaround. There's no fucking EA that if you know how to do this EA that drops a script every 15 minutes, send me the fucking file. But other than that, the problem with that is that I don't think you can do it. I've asked people, oh, it's so complicated what you're trying to do. It's too complicated. Anyways, if you know how to write an EA for that, that's the ticket, right? Because then you can't backtest that. The problem with backtesting buy limit grid system is that in MetaTrader, you're only allowed to have the EA do that for you. You cannot drop scripts. These scripts will not run inside of the strategy tester. You can't drop them on the screen. That's a problem. Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, I know exactly what I'm risking, ATR. Not that you're trying to over-tweak it, but the ATR matters, whether you like it or not. So if the breakout bot is getting in here, he's denying, he's not going to take this trade. He's not got a buy stop here, and he's not going to change his math. He gets in here, maybe he gets chopped. He gets in here for sure, he makes money. This is a 4-hour range bot. Here he makes money. But you've got this grid that's being dropped every 4. Now, the biggest breakthrough in MetaTrader, of course, when you're excited about something in the geek world, you assume everybody else is going to be like, oh man, did you hear about it? Like, no, my God, really? When MT4 decided they were going to put MT5 inside of MT4, you can make an H1 script. You can make an H2 script. Okay, H3s. And you can go H4, which is the classic H1, H4 were available. But now that you've got these 2 extra time frames, you can get a keyboard that has a grid. These keyboards are like $50 new, $60. And you program, it's got 4 keys up here. You got four buttons there, and you have this thing set up so that when you hit this, I set it up so that each column is a different time frame. So you have 16 possible buttons for buy limits and sell limits. This is the 4-hour column, and I'm still trying to, apparently I'm going to have a guide sheet for every broker and what those keys do, but this is better than an EA, or you could have EAs connected to this grid. Let me see if I can boot it up here. So you're a little sidetracked here. I'm not trying to stay on any topic, I don't think. But it's about the $1 for sure. We're going to trade this thing next week with this grid system. And just do the dollar risk. So what I did for these buy limits on this keyboard that's just for the buy limit grids is that I had to come up with a system here for... Oh, that's not right, is it? Okay, right, that's right. So what I did here is I made Control A the hotkey to buy. So this is the. Geez, I gotta change color here. Here is the H1 scripts that are living in this column. And this is where the market's trading right now, because this is real time. This is what's going on. So if I press this button, it's going to throw in buy limits a certain amount below. Now this could be set to 10 pips deep, 20, 30, 40. This could be set. This could be one ticket at 25, 50. 75, 100 pips. For that broker, every time you press this button, you're dropping in one buy limit, 1K, with a stop here, and the take profit is going to be here. So you know the ratio. This is the H1 column. Here is the H2 scripts running. Here is where the market's at all the time, right through the middle, and here is the buy limits for, and what I did was, since there's after the H4 script, MT5 has, or MT4 now has a 6-hour script. We have an 8-hour script, H8, and I took off the H12. H12 was here. And I left the space here to represent the fact that there's no H5 trigger to pull. There's no H7. And so I'm like this guy over in Germany. I'm trying to really make sense out of things. And so here would have been the 12-hour, there's an H12 available, and then there's, of course, the good old day. But the day would be off the chart here because I'm assuming I can get to my platform in the next 12 hours to drop another grid. Another thing this does for you is it makes you more disciplined trader because you're committing, or makes more commitment orientated. And I guess this is the other problem, that if you don't want to get married, you just want to date. When you get married, you're committing. Or you should be committed. So you really are in for that, trader. I'm going to buy on these limits. I'm going to sell on these limits. Now, it is dependent on what the word is because of what context that this thing. Now, another thing I did last week was not, I had to figure out what was going to be good for the H1. So now when the news comes out, and these are, maybe this happens to be a unique key. I was trying to make this more linear so that when I looked at the keyboard, I would just know, okay, 75 pips deep, 100 pips deep, I want to get in, boom. Another hour goes by, I hit these two keys again. Now, at that point, you've dropped these two orders and maybe the market just plunged. Now these two are on the screen. Now this H2 column, here's the problem begins next. Right here is the next problem. Do I want to buy, if I bought 25 pips deep here, do I want to by 25 pips deep here? No. Because if you come to this keyboard and you really think that you want to lay in a grid that ends up being like this, where you're buying here 25 pips deep, and now 10 pips away you want to buy 2 hours deep. Not only do you have a different time frame, 1 hour, this is the 2 hours, these are the 3s, the 4s, the 6, the 8, and the 12-hour scripts. If each price is unique and each time frame is unique, and of course, I'm also, now here's another big thing that will exponentially change the whole landscape of your equity curve is this going to buy 10 pips deep, and this is 20 pips deep, and this is 30 pips deep, and this is 40 pips deep? And you can psychologically see that, okay, I'm buying this. When you see it on the chart, it's actually going to look like in time expiration, this is 1 hour time passing. You're exposing yourself to 10 pips deep. So at a 10 pips per hour rate of plunge, you're exposing yourself to buy 10 pips deep. But in 20 pips, here, if this is 20 pips deep, this order lasts longer. So in actuality, it's going to look like this. If this is the span of 1 hour, this order, I'm just speaking in terms of how long this order lasts. So this order is good for here. This order is going to span not only the moment you drop that order, but it's going to last up to this much. This order is going to last all the way back to there. So when you drop it on the chart, here's your first button you hit. This guy's still standing. This guy's still standing. And this guy's still standing. Albeit this is 4 hours, 40 pips deep in 4 hours. That's about as linear as you can get. Now, the other way to look at it is that you do duplicate the price, but I wouldn't. And this is the problem I'm having is I really want to use this keyboard exclusively. As soon as you attach 2 orders to any one of these keys, now you have a scenario key. It's not just I know, like on the chart, if this is, say this is 10, 20, 40, then this has to be 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160. So you know, if you set it up like that, that is starting linear, that's a linear grid system. You know you're not duplicating any orders here. And you know that from a discipline standpoint, if you walk up to this keyboard and hit every fucking key every hour, and say the market's plunging, so this, and whatever this costs you, 16 keys, 20 pip stop on each key, right? What are you risking? $32 or $320? 16 buttons here, 10 pip stops on each one. So you can really blow up the account real easy if you just hit those, any button, right? So, but you would know, hey, it's $2 per button. 2 to make $6, right? Now, the starting point, I would say, for anybody that's going to do this, is you need to have a base starting point. Something that you can know that This button here is a lottery ticket that's cost $2 and it makes $4 all day long. Stops here, exits here. Same thing here. Market's dropping. Now, another thing is that I guess I'm getting a little complicated, but you have to go there, I suppose, right? You have to think in terms of the rate of change, the velocity of the market. So if this is my case, that this hotkey on my keyboard, and you get these keyboards on eBay all day long for like $70, $60. Software is free. I'll tell you what, I am so undisciplined that, and even in using this thing that's supposed to be disciplined, that execution is all it's about. There's no money made unless you execute. Now, the fear of execution is gone once you trade in a size that doesn't matter to your lifestyle. And now it's just your ego you're risking, and for some people that's more expensive than money. So the idea of being wrong and being right and all that, and great way to lose money, thanks buddy. You have to be a good loser. In fact, you're aiming at losing. I mean, there's so many cliches, worry about the losses because the profits take care of themselves. Yeah, not only worry about them, but embrace the losing. And it at 10 pips per hour rate of change is what this one, just happens. This is the starting point, I think the base point. You can go logarithmic, but then it's tough to... Well, we just live in a linear world. There's 24 hours in a day. The next day doesn't have 32 hours in it. But when a market explodes, I've seen people do these tick charts. Now, I saw Akil Stokes using this tick bar chart. No, sir, didn't like it. Only because it looks gorgeous, but it's not real. I mean, it's not something that you can say, well, at the top of the hour, if I would have hit this key. Now, if you trade on the clock, literally, and you see a setup, and you're like, well, you know what? This button's only going to cost me X. And of course, this keyboard is donated to limit grid trading only. I have other ridiculous... I have another keyboard in here that I'm running as my main keyboard. I guess I'm just going to have to reboot this. I don't know how this thing runs. I don't have to go looking for the file. So it's going to ask me what I want. So I want this keyboard. So this is my real keyboard that you write a letter on. This one's programmed for, and I'm not actually trading at the market, but this key here is buy at the market. So this one buys at the market with a 25 pip stop to make 75 pips. So it's just something that, I want to get in and I can see and I'm like, I'm going to buy one at the market. Now this would just be to, just for my soul, just for my, I don't want to feel like I'm missing out. So I'm going to risk 25 pips, and it could be a standard lot. It could be whatever you really want to risk $250. So you have to ask yourself, if you can open an account for what your stop is on a standard lot. Well, I don't know. Maybe you're driving a Ferrari. I get that, but who wants to lose? The guy that has a Ferrari, like they ask people, how did you get $1 million? Well, I was worried about 10 cents, right? So I don't see the idea of how you want to lose any more money. And people complain about spreads, I've heard people say the broker's ripping you off. I've met people that say, oh, I'm like, yeah, but you know what? If you bought a car, the gas isn't included. You got to put gas in the car. So that's just your loss. It's just the cost of doing business. So, and this is also a nice psychological tool that you'll find that this key sucks dick. No offense to dicks, but this here, you really, at the market, are you kidding? Unless you're babysitting this puppy on the 1 minute chart. The next key I have here is I'll buy on limits for the next 15 minutes. So since the other keyboard starts at 1 hour, this keyboard is 15 on this key, 30 minutes here, standard programming, 1 hour keys. Now, after these first 4 keys are done, because I had to make it so my pinky is by at the mark, and I'm just telling you my secret hotkey keyboard. I don't buy at the market much. This is sell. I'm sorry. These are the sell keys are up here. Sell at the market. Sell on limits, on a 15-minute limits, just close to the market. Now this is dialed into. Each broker has its own currency pair, and each hotkey is assigned to a different. Like, so this, when I hit this hotkey, it doesn't talk the same to every MT4 platform. It's talking to one broker who's set to trade that one currency, where the ATR makes sense for this key, and I know that when I hit this button, I'm going to sell for the next half hour in some grid up here, and I can see, oh, you know what? It's rambunctious. I'm going to throw a grid up there because I want to get short on something. And so when we get to the end of these 4 keys here, this is the 1 hour sell limits that are way up here. Now, the way those grids sit, there's kind of a, you kind of have to gauge those sell limits up there, but you do want to get in on those spikes because those are good trades. Why turn down a momentary lapse of reason? Unfair value. They're unfair value sell limits, 15-minute script. If the market's marching up at some, and you're in front of this thing, and you get snagged on the netting thing, and then you got your sell. So after these 4 keys are done, at key number 4 on here, and unfortunately my keyboard isn't exactly like this. My real keyboard has number F, the function keys over here, because I don't know, it's offset. It's not exactly like this. No, it is. It is actually. That is the problem with the keyboard, that this function key, you'll accidentally hit that sometimes, and actually you're so close to buy and sell here that you have to make sure your ratios are good, because if your kitty cat should jump across this keyboard, it's no joke. I saw somebody talking about that, and they executed trades. They had to hurry up, and so I have a, you can have a close all, open and pending order set to one of these hotkeys. And so here is the buy stop start here now. Now this is the, since I have, this is the market order, this is the 15, the 30, the 1 hour. Now I have 15-minute buy stops. And these are scalps. 15-minute buy stops, tight to the market, tight stop, gets out. This is the half hour buy stops. A little bit bigger take profit, a little bit broader stop. This is the 1 hour stops, buy stops, big profit, slightly more risk. This is another buy stop. When the news comes out, I'm hitting this key for kind of a almost the same buy stop zone. Actually, I'd say hard buy stops on all these are set to a hard buy stop. So they all look like this, but the this key here has, say, a 10 pip stop, a 12 pip stop, a 14, a 15, a 16, an 18 pip stop on this last button, but the take profit is enormous. But I know that in my mind's eye when I hit these, and that's buy low, sell high, sell. This, and I had to figure out whether I could put the stop bank up here. Some people would put the buy stops here, thinking, oh, it's breaking out up like this. But I know when I got my pinky on here, because I used to trade at night with my pinky on the market key and scalp, and I'd have the buy limit, and I knew that, oh, I want to buy some at the market, I want to buy in limits. I'd hit all 4 keys. I like that trade, go to sleep. And of course, the rate of change on that, how many, after 15 minutes, how many pips deep? Well, that all depends. They allow you 72 keys to program inside of MetaTrader. So I programmed all the keys between both keyboards, and I left out 2 keys. I have 70 keys programmed, left out 2 keys for delete the objects and close all profits. Because I'm in scalping mode, and I scale into something, and I can see, we just came up, the market just came up to a top bottom. I'm going to take what I've got and get out because I know we're going to plunge. I just know it. Or I put in sell stops into that. And this is close all profits, go flat, and you can get out on some brokers out of everything you scaled into. You might have scaled into 20K, 23K, buy stops, hit this dump, you're out of the whole fucking thing. Couldn't do it any other way now because, but the problem is there's also the bad effect is that you may overtrade with hotkeys. That is the downside. Yeah, so it's it's you have to size it to the market because some of these markets, and of course, all these hotkeys are programmed, but you still have your manually placed orders. Now you don't have to. You could have these sitting out here to do a spattering version where you pick up stuff, you pick up trades and I did this on the Canadian dollar and I did run this, I happened to be running the demo at the time and I made some damn good money on just this, these plunges on the CAD. So the CAD's capable of it. If you go to the 15-minute chart here or the 5-minute chart, if you can see that if you have the key ready to go to drop these grids now, on this this is the beginning of the day on the CAD, and this is the same amount of, these pips are just as good as the other pips that people make on the big long-term trades and stuff, but here are just simply either you hand placed orders to start buying down in this this is the dollar CAD. And look at the triple thing here. So when you're hitting the button on the 15, yeah, you just keep on cashing. Like if you're in front of your computer, when this happens, and I don't know when this happens if you're in front of your computer, but I don't think there's a EA. Maybe there's an EA. Like I said, but what if your stop was here? Yeah, you're screwed. So you have to have so many orders in there, and you do have to have an end of the world stop. So that's the thing. You're trading in. There's so many ways to get in this market. Like you're either getting in here, you would fill on 5K if the spacing was like that. But if you're sitting in front of your keyboard and you knew that this key on this keyboard, this is why it's kind of currency dependent. If you go to this keyboard here and you've got the I have to go to the other version of that. If you go to this other keyboard that has the grid in it, I showed you the 16 buttons, then you would hit, if you hit the first column all the way down, you'd be buying 10 pips deep and 50 on the 1 hour. So you'd have 10, 50, what is it, 10, 50, because you have 40 here, 40 pips deep, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then you're all the way to and this is 130 pips deep in 1 hour. Now, the whole problem there is that there's too big a gap here. So maybe this hotkey, and this is where you jump off the linear trail and go into, okay, well, I'm just going to buy here, and I'm going to buy down to the 50. Well, you wouldn't do that. Would you just go over here to the 20 key? So you'd hit all these across. So you're actually buying, you wouldn't hit this 1 hour column just because you're on a 1 hour chart. You would hit the row across knowing that, okay, I just put in orders for the next thing. And it's 10 pips apart. You know that's a 10 pip grid and you would wait. If you wanted to buy deeper, you know that this is the key for, the 90 pips deep over here. But you know that here it doesn't matter. You're keeping the time marching along so that, you know, drop 130 pips in the hour. Yeah, the news comes out. Maybe you drop all these so you're spaced 40 pips apart. But maybe if you went to the Mexican peso, this is going to be 25, 50, 75, 100 pips deep. So, you know, by the time you get down here, what, you're like, whatever that is, 100, 1,600 pips deep here. You know, whatever that comes out to. I guess you're 4, 5, 6, 700 pips deep here. You're 700 pips deep there in 4 hours. And so if you take that whole grid in consideration, maybe but if you're only living in a 4-hour world and you're going to get to your thing every 4 hours, then you only care about that. And so if you push the button here when this was before this plunge even began and you laid a grid in. I don't have the 10 pip grid up here, but that's how that works. And you can't backtest it. You just can't backtest that. So here you are. Are you kidding me? So, wow. It's in an uptrend. It's definitely could go up here. But wow, look at that. Look at that wick on that thing. That is something else. We could go retest that, sure. Rocky Road, getting there. But sure, I'm going to buy. There's stops there. Start buying there. So you just lay a grid in. It's that simple. It's that stupid. It's that stupid. You would just have a buy grid in there. Works every time. It's just how much do you want to buy? How much do you want to load into the account?